What's up and welcome to Champions of Lore, a show about all the kick-ass stories behind some of Idle Champions' coolest campaigns and characters. Every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on twitch.tv/CNE Games or later on your favorite podcast service, Dave Walters and Erin M. Evans talk about all the Idle Champions lore that's fun to know about. If you're here with us live in the chat, you can leave a question that I, Treavor Bettis, will ask them later in the show. As a heads up, we're trying out Google Meets today, so hopefully there's no desync. If there is, I don't know. I don't know what to do. But enough of my ramblings. Erin, Dave, take it away.
Hi, I'm Erin M. Evans. I'm a content designer for Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms. I'm also the author of the Brimstone Angels Saga, a 6-book series set in the Forgotten Realms, featuring 3 of your favorite Idle Champions Verita, Havilar, and Mehen. I also play Cecilia on the Scrawlers.
Dave Walters, I say words about things. I've accomplished my goal of swapping places with Erin now, so there you go.
Okay, you have to pick up my kid from school at 2:20. Your kid at school. Just, you know.
I mean, we'll swap kids from school at 2:20. That's it's gonna be a long commute.
That's probably easier.
We're not close. Yeah, but that's we got it. We got it. I got to work on my laugh though. I don't have that cherubic ring to it. What I do. Yeah, I do that. That's what I do. Dave Walters. Yep.
As a heads up for chat, I can see by just a few of you saying that the code is expired. So the code's expired. We'll get that fixed up. Just give us a little bit. Things happen. I must have clicked the wrong thing. Maybe I set it for September of last year to expire. That's right. You had to get it last year.
I've been there. I've been there.
Yeah, we were all in September of last year. Here's the question: are we still there?
It feels like it. It feels like it.
Which is the kind of story you tell in the Feywild.
Yes, that was a beautiful segue.
That was beautiful.
Drifting. Yes. What are we talking about today, Treavor?
Yeah, we're talking Feywild. And I don't really know where to start with the Feywild. Oh, excuse me, computer, calm down. I don't really know where to start with Feywild. Because I've only used it a little bit because I've mostly kept it a mystery. And that's kind of how I see it, as a mystery. Where do y'all want to start with the Feywild?
Well, okay. So the issuing a disclaimer, what the Feywild really is has changed over time. And with the upcoming release of The Wild Beyond the Witchlight, it's changing again. I don't think it should come as any secret to you all that I've already seen and read The Wild Beyond the Witchlight and can't talk about it.
What?
So you see me trying to be very careful, like parsing some things. That's why. But all things being equal, the Feywild is the place where the elves originated from. It is the Fey domain. It is the anti-Ravenloft. It is still set up as domains, but instead of domains of dread, they're domains of delight. It is generally a happy place, but some really messed up stuff can still happen there, kind of like the Grimm's fairy tale style.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna stop talking so Erin can say something.
Yeah, so in older editions, this was the Plane of Fairy. It's, I believe, around 4th edition that they called it the Feywild, and it becomes, for Forgotten Realms, a parallel plane. So this exists kind of next to the Prime material, much as the Shadowfell does. So it is, in a way, very much the opposite. The Feywild, as we discussed in our Underdark, it has its own Underdark called the Feydark.
Oh, that's right.
It's true. It's true, it does.
And yeah, they like Dave said, it's divided into domains. The domains are generally ruled by Archfey. There are some Archfey that are more powerful, and therefore you have, the Queen of what is her name? Queen of Air and Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And then Queen Titania of the Summer Court are sort of very powerful Archfey. You'll see mentioned a lot. And so there are sort of lesser Archfey that owe allegiance, but there are also a lot of independent actors. So if you want to send your characters into the Feywild, there's a lot of different kinds of Feywild they can encounter. So it draws a lot of inspiration from, like Dave said, fairy tales. And so, yeah, you can have a beautiful place that is also kind of terrifying, as fairy tales go.
No, it definitely was the Feywild, at least as of 3rd edition. They might have even started referring to around whenever the Forgotten Realms started being the Forgotten Realms, because you all might recall, early editions of D&D were very setting agnostic. It's just, you just play Dungeons and Dragons. And then the Forgotten Realms was the first defined campaign setting, and then the other ones were defined off of that. So, yeah, it's been the Feywild for a minute. You get into it by finding different Fey crossings. Again, drawing very heavily on real mythology, you know, of you know, you have to be able to cross into the fairy ring, and that's how you get into the world of the other people, you know, crossing over at a crossroads, that kind of stuff. And a lot of the things that you encounter there, well, yes, there absolutely can be combat involved. A lot of it is more trickery, things like deals, agreeing to things. Names are very important. Knowing the true name of something or giving up your true name of something are all very important type of things. So usually Feywild stories are not just kick in the door and set everything on fire. But they can be. I think if it's kicking the door and set everything on fire, it probably turns out it's a fireworks factory made out of like peppermints and gumdrops. But then the gumdrops are made out of napalm. Napalm Gumdrop would be a great band name.
That is a cool band name.
Gumdrop.
You just do like heavy metal
Yes.
covers of kids' songs.
Yeah, you're like,
Shut up and take my money.
You've heard of Kids Bop. Now come.
I love it.
Napalm Gumdrop. Coming to a Chuck E. Cheese near you.
The robots are like half destroyed and sparking as they're playing. Super metal. So does from what I'm gathering from you, because you like Erin was saying, like you go to different types of Feywilds. Is it like Ravenloft where there are different domains of them?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
They're domains of delight, and the Archfey are the Dark Lords.
Yep. And there's even things like I want to push slightly on the delight, just because like you can have Archfey who are terrible. Like Baba Yaga is identified as an Archfey periodically. You have things like Naphion, the Lord of Bats from Bruce Cordell's Plague of Spells series, is an Archfey. The Archfey that my character Cecilia has a pact with is from Mark Sehestet's Chosen of Nendoin series. And also his book from before that I can't remember the name of. Somebody in chat, remember the name of this, because this is a great book. And that's Hiranawachu, the Heart of the Piercing, who is kind of this chthonic prophecy creature that's worshipped as a deity by the Lithari. So she's either a giant silver wolf or a naked elf woman covered in blood in a cave.
Gives you a girl who can do both.
Yeah, right. So there's like, you know, you have options. It is a neutral plane, so there's lots of variety. But yeah, it's also, you know, I don't know how much we can talk about the Wild Beyond the Witchlight.
Yeah, I think
you do know it starts with a carnival, right?
That's true.
So like
That's
tonally,
true.
we have an intro, and so yeah, you've got options, but it isn't the same kind of flavor as of intense and spooky as Ravenloft, I would think, because it isn't.
No.
Yeah, it isn't about punishing someone.
Yeah. Well, not usually.
No, that's just the icing.
Yeah. I mean,
oh, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
What I was going to ask is, so, you know, there may not be things that are like specifically there to punish you and whatnot, but there are dangers in the Feywild.
It's a little like the Underdark. It's not for you. So you're gonna roll into the Feywild, and you know it is operating under a system of rules, which, in my experience, those rules are determined by the desires of the Archfey, right? Whoever is ruling the domain, and so you need to follow the rules. You need to understand the expectations, otherwise something bad will happen to you. And so those rules can be things like, you know, the rule of hospitality, don't stab your host, don't stab your guest, rule of reciprocity kind of things. Like there can be stuff that seems extremely reasonable. And then there can also be sort of Red Queen Alice in Wonderland kind of rules where you're like, what the heck is happening?
Who is this? Real Raynor in the chat brought up Neverwhere, Neil Gaiman's book. And that's giving me like big Neverwhere vibes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's in Ravenloft, again, the dread domains are a prison. They are a reflection of everything that the Dark Lord wanted but twisted. It's the Twilight Zone monkey paw of what should have made them happy. The Feywild, the domains, are still a reflection of the Archfey and still a reflection of what makes them happy. But not necessarily like the Feywild is not a cruel joke that is played on the Archfey, but how they think and how they see things is so different from how we see things that's what makes it twisted. Like they're very happy with it. Like, no, this is exactly what I wanted. I wanted the rain to come from the ground and go upwards. This is what makes me happy. And you're like, all right.
It's definitely fitting into Aaron's. It's not for you because like the like Ravenloft, the dread domains, it was just like, oh, you're here. Bad news, you're here for good now, and I'm just gonna mess with you. And then the Feywild's like, you're here, you're not supposed to be here. Get out. This is my place.
or you're here now, and I'm gonna mess with you.
Oh,
yeah.
It's almost I almost feel like I don't know. I really love this comparison to Ravenloft and how they're sort of dark reflections of each other.
Well, that's how I always thought of them.
Yeah,
I just didn't understand them both properly.
and not to interrupt your point there.
That was the extent of it because I'm still churning on it.
Well, but again, if you're familiar with, Grimm's fairy tales, those stories are messed up. Like, I mean, Walt Disney diluted it a lot to make it palatable for children. I mean, very much think like Buchenwald type fairy tales. That's the Feywild. Whereas, like, Cinderella's sisters realized their feet didn't fit in the glass slippers, so they cut their toes off. That's the original story. A lot of, I mean, imagine that. You're walking in, like, with no toes and a glass slipper, and you're supposed to be like, hey, girl, what's up? Because a lot of fairy tales, previous fairy tales, were cautionary tales. They were not solely for entertainment. They were like, here's an important life lesson you need to learn, child, so that you don't die in the woods. So they were very intense. Now, I have to issue the disclaimer that, I'm doing the Wild Beyond the Witchlight in the Black Dice Society right now. So if you want to see what the carnival is like, oh, no, not tomorrow. Actually, we're down for D&D celebration. Next Thursday, if you want to see what the Witchlight Carnival is like, 4:00 Pacific on D&D Twitch and YouTube, they're going to be going to the carnival. However, because our show is still a Ravenloft show, even though they're in the Feywild, my story is going to hew darker just because it has to. Yep. But the carnival it's an they really did a great job in this upcoming Wild Beyond the Witchlight of making the carnival an objectively fun place with some really cute and clever things, but still has some peril there. Yeah. Again, you cross the wrong person, it goes poorly. That's kind of very endemic of what the Feywild is.
Speaking of Black Dice Society, Cypher of Tears in the chat, and Nightbot was a little too strict there, but Cypher says Fen knows how it is in the Feywild in all caps.
Yeah, Finn is intimately familiar.
That is
going to learn more.
The content coming out today, right?
Yes.
That's the
last stream today, starting at noon. After this show, Wild Beyond the Witchlight is coming to Idle Champions as a campaign, and so that's why we're giving a little introduction into the Feywild.
Yes.
Hey.
I didn't write any of this one, but the next one that comes out, then I did some stuff.
I can't wait to talk about that one.
I'm excited.
Whenever you see Orcus with a boombox, that is when you will know.
did not put Orcus in a boombox in this one, but I told you guys what I did, and I hope you all enjoy it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But the Feywild.
Yes. What are some of the things that you might find when you're in the Feywild?
Well, B-Dave pointed out a really important one, which is that time doesn't work the same way.
Oh, really?
And it's a little bit of a gamble exactly how it works differently. Like, you might go in the Feywild and come back and no time passed at all. You might go in the Feywild and come back and it's 100 years later. It's they don't run in the same. They're parallel planes, but they don't necessarily run in a parallel.
It's a Jeremy Bearimy
chronology wise. It's a Jeremy Bearimy thing. Yeah.
Yep.
And it may be that you synced up perfectly and exactly the same amount of time passed. You kind of don't know when you go in what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's terrifying, but also really cool from a storytelling standpoint.
Yeah. Well,
how mean is your DM? That's the question.
I mean, first of
how
all,
story inclined is your DM? How about that? I mean,
look. Just because I literally have the most evil DM.
Units of partial DM or partial B Daves. How mean is your DM? Is your DM a 1/4 B Dave?
See, you know what's funny is I was going to rank it in units of player tiers, but I think ranking it in B-Daves.
Yeah, how many B-Daves?
Impartial B-Daves, because it's a 0 to 1, right?
No, well, I mean, you'd be hard pressed to get to 2, man. I tell you that. But
but you have the award. You're the peak. That's what they're going for.
No, that
See?
First of
it's
all,
0 to 1.
First of all, I love you. But the interesting thing about the Feywild is there's many interesting things about it. I think it's the place that you can tell truly whatever kind of story you want. You can have it be really cheerful. You can have it be really not cheerful. You can have it be really silly. You can have it be really serious. It can be like non-logical and off the wall. Like you could straight up do Alice in Wonderland in the Feywild because there's Haragon, there's rabbit people.
Yeah, there's rabbit people.
There's rabbit
so excited.
People. Yeah. So
one of my favorite things was when the UA came out about the Haragon just when they were called rabbit folk. Dylan, executive producer for streaming at Codename, was just like, I'm gonna make the fastest, highest jumping barbarian.
Yep.
It was amazing.
Guess what? We're playing Watership Down in D&D now.
Oh no.
Oh!
Okay. Quick aside.
Did I get a 0.95 B-Dave? Did I get to 0.95 B-Dave?
That's Ravenlove.
That's Raven, yeah.
That is Ravenlove.
Someone brought that up at Codename, and I was like, what is that? And I Googled it, and it had Googling it pulled off this repressed veil of a memory. And I'm like, oh no, Harry, no. Please don't do that. Please don't do that movie in the Feywild. Do that in Ravenloft. One of the things that because I started playing D&D in 4th edition, and so with that, when I thought Feywild, I thought Eladrin.
Yes.
So how do they work in the Feywild? Like, are they in every domain of the Feywild, or are they just in a few of them?
They are if you want them to be.
Yeah,
basically.
There you go.
Yeah, the Eladrin like live there, and the Eladrin are. I mean, it's changed a little bit over the editions, of course. In the past, the Eladrin were like super elves, like they were like proto elves from which lesser elves have descended.
As
and
Will
they
Wheaton
still
said,
think
the normal elves are their hillbilly cousins.
Exactly. Yeah. Now they're more a subtype of elves, but yeah, like they theoretically are pretty high on the totem pole out there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have like whole Eladrin civilizations in different domains. They're relatively common. That said, again, like for Feywild, I think it is flexible enough that you can be like, well, this domain doesn't have Eladrin. This domain is full of Boggles and Haragon and like little sprites and things.
I do love
and the rain comes from the ground and goes up.
Yeah, because reasons.
That would really mess up Hillary Duff's song.
Remix. Yeah, but I think the number one thing to impress upon you, though, it just to in what Erin just said, but to extract even more from that is, what's in the Feywild is what you say is in the Feywild. I mean, there's definitely some posts driven into the ground, of course. But where is sort of, yes, in Ravenloft, new domains of dread can come up, but it is kind of like, well, these are the ones that are here. Again, they're a network of dirty bubbles. In the Feywild, they're a network of clean, happy bubbles, of varying sizes and viscosity.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, though. Y'all pay very close attention. Let me see. How can I say this in a way that won't get me shot with NDA bullets?
The sights are lining up on you.
The beams start appearing. They're like, There's a very strong tie-in to the Feywild in Van Richten's guide in Ravenloft that pays off in The Wild Beyond the Witchlight, but it seems very different. You got to pay very close attention. You guys pay very close attention that they're like, this is what happened over here, and this is what happened over here, and you're like, but what about all this stuff in the middle?
Oh, interesting.
I'll tell you guys when we're not rolling. Yeah,
that's when the NDA sites go down.
That's when that's it. Yeah. So meanwhile, back in the Feywild, we haven't talked about the Seelie and the Unseelie Fey yet.
Yeah.
Well, then let's do that. Who are they?
So, like we said, like the two sort of big arch Fey queens are Queen Titania and the Queen of, I always mess this up, Air and Darkness.
Which is such a great name.
Again,
by the way.
It really
such
is.
a badass name.
So Titania, the Summer Queen, is the ruler of the Seelie Fae, and the Queen of Air and Darkness is the Unseelie court. And this is sort of a traditional folkloric split. The Seelie Fae are the sort of good ones, the ones that might help you, the ones that that you sort of picture if I say pixies, but maybe you shouldn't. And then the Unseelie court are the ones that, ride out at night and might cut your head off and things like that.
Yep. It's generally the day to night split. It's I hesitate to just say good and bad because it's not that simple.
Yeah.
Because the Seelie will still mess you up. And Seelie aren't necessarily trying to eat your face. But like Erin said, this is real folklore of this divide. It's more day to night. That I think a lot of times. The implication is that day is good and that night is bad, but neither is innately true. Have you ever been sunburned? Daytime sucks, and
It does.
Yeah. So
it's kind of I like that metaphor for the Seelie court too. It's like the sun, right? It's like it can give you good things and be the fairy godmother and churn your butter if you leave out the salt, and then you didn't leave the salt out. Guess what? All your cattle are dead.
Exactly.
The punishment is harsh. They're like, they're like going to bestow a favor on you because look, you're cute and you know how to follow the rules. Oh wait, you didn't follow the rules? Now here is all the pride and power behind my station.
Yeah, right.
Sunburnt.
Yeah.
Sunburnt.
Yeah. That's more or less the division there. Yeah. And I also always say the Queen of Air and Darkness wrong, and I also think that's an incredible name. Again, we should do just a straight up Midsummer Night's Dream Feywild campaign. That'd be a lot of fun.
Shakespeare was playing D&D back in the day.
Yeah, he was. But so that's a general division there, but again, be mindful of the fact that it is not necessarily good to bad in a binary. Although all things being equal, I do think the Unseelie will be more direct in their desire to eat your face, and the Seelie are more like, oh, unfortunately, you've now required me to eat your face. Erin mentioned in passing is the concept of a fairy godmother, which is actually a thing. It is similar to a warlock pact, but it is like a certain Fey entity takes a shining to you and watches over you and wants something. it may just be gratitude. It may just be, love. It may be like the Godfather, one day I may ask for a favor from you type thing. And as long as you stay on the right side of that bargain, it's cool in the gang. Like your butter will always be churned, but woe be unto you if you forget the salt. Yeah.
Sunburn.
Mm-hmm.
Love the idea of a Fae just threatening everyone with sunburns. And there's a hair and gun. It's like, I've got fur. And they're like, now you have a sunburn under your hair.
Wouldn't that be the worst? Wouldn't that be the worst? The sunburned Haragon? Because then the hair is like messed up with the skin all over. Sorry, little Haragon, bro.
Yeah. So those are some things that you can find, but like, what about like monster wise? Because like, I mean, on the cover of the variant for Wild Beyond the Witchlight, there is a Displacer Beast.
Duh.
I love Displacer Beasts, and that might be because I call my cat a Displacer Beast, because I swear to God, she can manipulate the light and dark and move without being seen.
Yours too, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
But what is there any interesting lore behind the Displacer Beasts?
Well, I think they are a Fey type.
Mm-hmm.
About the Displacer Beast in general?
Yeah. Because if I remember correctly, they were created for like war or something like that.
And just if anybody hasn't seen a Displacer Beast, like once again, welcome. They look like a giant panther with 6 legs.
Six legs.
Six
They
legs
move-
and tentacles. Yep.
Yeah, 6 legs and tentacles. And yeah, they kind of they displace. They kind of teleport, but they blur out.
Yeah.
When they do it.
Yeah. They. I think. Oh, good.
They were bred as well, I say guard dogs, although they're 6-legged panthers for the Unseelie Court in the Feywild. Yep.
Oh, okay.
So there's a point in favor of the Unseelie Court because they're super cool.
Said, okay, so apparently they came up with both Displacer Beasts and Blink Dogs.
There you go.
Which makes sense. And the Blink Dogs were obedient because they're dogs, and the Displacer Beasts weren't because they're cats. And they drove the Displacer Beasts out, and that's why they're everywhere now, because they were like, we made
no.
6-legged. Well, who sat down and hit the long bottom leaf and thought to themselves, you know what we need? 6-legged tentacle teleporting panthers to keep an eye on things. This is gonna work. This is gonna work.
That does sound like a long bottom leaf idea.
Yeah.
Hey,
trust me.
I got an idea.
They were like, the teleporting dogs work great, right? So
what if we took a cat and gave it like 2 more legs? But that's not really that threatening. I mean, yeah, they got extra claws. No. But then we put like a squid on them.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it just every component, every detail of a Displacer Beast is horrifying. By the way, if you were just like, what if we just made it a panther the size of a person? That's already a problem.
It's already
a problem. Yeah. Or gave it extra legs, or gave it poisonous tentacles, or gave it the ability to teleport, much less all of those things.
And
it talks. It also can talk.
Right.
So it can sassy
and
while it teleports.
And the tentacles got that pad at the end of it with the little teeth coming off of it. Or little fangs. So, I hate it.
Yep. So there is a in Van Richten's guide in Bloodspur, which is the Mind Flayer domain. One of the adventure hooks is you find a crashed ship, and the only thing left on board is a particularly intelligent Displacer Beast.
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't like that. No, I don't like that.
I mean,
I don't like that.
I know firsthand you can make Displacer Beasts absolutely terrifying because what in that first 4th edition game, one of my players, all they gave me was their last adventuring party. They were in the woods, they got separated, and he never saw them again. And so when they went into the Dread domains for a Halloween one, I made him relive that, and it was actually a Displacer Beast that was picking them off and like appearing and vanishing and everything. You can do straight up Predator with it.
You can do straight up Predator with it, which is an important point too about the lore. And we talked about this when we were discussing the dragons, that people think dragons are this high-end foe, but you can have a really pitched battle with a wyvern with a low group. Displacer beasts aren't very high CR creatures.
Yeah, they aren't.
But if you either throw them at the group early enough or make them clever enough, because again, a teleporting poison cat should be pretty easy to sell, you know? So, yeah.
Teleporting poison cat. Come on.
There it is. Yeah. But there's a couple of groups that we have not mentioned, so we'll go down the list real quick here.
Well, I do want to say real quick before we leave Displacer Beast. Recently, Bardic Inspiration did a freaking awesome Displacer Beast song, and Jason Charles Miller did it in the style of a Ozzy Osbourne ballad. Go check it out; it's really cool.
Awesome.
I haven't heard this. I want to hear this.
Good.
Teleporting poison cat. Yep.
Teleporting poison cat.
That'll be the remix. So we talked about the Eladrin. There's the Lachey, which are super Eladrin.
Super Eladrin.
It says they are to the other Eladrin what humans are to the Eladrin in the other way. You know what I mean? Like they're like so far beyond even Eladrin's Eladrinness.
They're like, they might be one of the creator races. This might be the creator race of the elves, but that is one of those like lost to the mist of time kind of things.
Oh, interesting. I just looked this up. I have never heard of this. This is cool.
Mm-hmm. I know. Yeah, they're like, yeah, you wouldn't.
They're hipsters about themselves.
They are hipsters. They were like, we were too underground, but not in the
Feywild.
Yeah, not the Feydark. Yeah. Then there's the Femorians, which were evil races of giants. You know, a lot of usually Cyclops, but just bad, misshapen creatures.
They're the ones that mostly rule in the Feydark.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Like they're the Eladrin. Well, I guess Eladrins don't really rule. They just sort of run themselves whilst being under the command of an archfey.
It's burdened by beauty and ennui, or how the Eladrins spend their days. Yeah.
So who else we got in the Feywild?
Red caps.
Red
caps.
Yep.
It's like a summons fey. She summons a modified red cap because I love him.
Oh yeah, what's his name? David. Quick plug, there's a difficulty class episode where Erin played Cecilia in a one-shot that I ran, and David showed up, and he was David.
No, David's with that summon face spell, just as a sidebar, what I use it most for is there's a rogue in the party, and if David can go get up next to something, he can give them their sneak attack bonus because they're adjacent.
Oh, nice.
And sometimes he hits stuff, and then that's great. But it's most useful for either corralling enemies or giving the rogue sneak attack.
I love it.
Fun facts, anyway. They're kind of like little goblin-y things that they come out of. They're related to blood. I guess in D&D, they will arise where people are injured in the Feywild, and they have to. This is the folklore thing. They have to wash their cap in blood periodically, or they lose their power. I guess in D&D they disappear.
They look like angry little garden gnomes.
Yeah.
And then at first you're just like, oh, that doesn't seem so bad. And like, they wash their caps in blood. What?
They are definitely on the unseelie side.
Yeah.
You got a code. And I assume if it's hat's fresh, it's fine. It's not really interested in killing you. But that is a fundamental part of its being is I have to wash my hat in blood so it stays red.
They're about to kill you. Wait, look at the time. It's blood o'clock.
Man, as if you didn't live in a world with like 20-foot strawberries that you could very easily die in. And they're like, no.
It's the wrong color.
No. Yeah, need people juice.
Need
people
juice.
I'm clearly a summer. I eat strawberry juice. Winter.
That's every 3 days they have to do it. Then there's boggles.
Boggles. Just fun.
Boggles. Yeah. They're mischievous creatures that are spawned when creatures are overcome by loneliness or abandonment. Oh, the most important freaking thing about the Feywild that we haven't even said yet. It's highly driven by emotion.
Oh.
Emotions and feelings are what give rise to things here. It is a very vibe-based place filled with hipster elves.
Hang on, real quick. We're doing a giveaway in the chat right now, so if you're only listening to this, hop over there to enter the giveaway. Looks like they're saying just faith things, so put that into the chat to enter. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, the red caps are born out of injury. Boggles are born out of loneliness and abandonment and things like that.
Oh my god.
The boggles are like terrible. It looks like a full-blown orc's head on like a baby's body.
Yep.
Yeah, itty bitty living space. Yeah, right. We're just like mean, nasty little chaotic things. But yeah, a lot of feelings involved in the Feywild.
Interesting. And now that you say that, it's making me remember a few things. The emotions can actually like how this is. They can just spawn things. Like, is that could that be quick? Could like somebody have like an extreme emotional reaction and something is created out of it?
Yeah,
that's wild. Hey,
definitely
wild.
Up to and including the Archfey themselves. Like things like if you upset the Archfey, things can happen right then. Like the weather can change right then, or creatures show up right then and stuff like that. That it's all it is very emotion based. So you gotta stay cool while you're down there, or things get out of hand. Same thing. Like meanlocks are deformed Fey that respond when someone was overwhelmed by fear in a place touched by the Feywild. So meanlocks are cool because you can find them anywhere. Like you could just be in a very powerful forest and like start doing a sad in the forest, and the meanlocks are like, oh ho ho.
What the heck is this? An Umber Hulk's cousin?
Yeah, but it's like the littlest Umber Hulk though.
The littlest Umber Hulk. I love it.
You're just like, come here, you little scritchy boy. You got a little.
Oh yeah,
boy.
average height is what is this? 2 inches? 2 feet? What is this?
I think it's 2 feet because it's big enough that it's standing on a skull. I think it's 2 feet. Could you imagine that? By the way, like you just go out to the woods. You're like, I just need to clear my head. Like this adventure in life's been kind of rough. Like I've been through some things. I really thought we were gonna get that dragon's horde. I just, is this even for me? And then just right next to you. Yeah.
Like you're already scared. You don't need that in your face.
It's
Feywild's
true.
like, but maybe you do.
But
maybe you do though.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have thought of that before you came in here with sadness.
Before you came in here with sadness.
Then there's the Hags. The Hags have Hags have been having a good run in D&D lately.
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I'll let Erin say something about the Hags so I don't soak up all the oxygen.
Hags are kind of classic witches, but they're really interesting because there's lots of different kinds.
Yeah.
There's the night hags?
Yeah, there's
still
night
have
hags. Oh god, let me see if I can get my.
We played a game. We did it with Dungeon Scrawlers, and I'd actually played a version of this with the DM Susan J. Morris before, which involved finding. We went to this rich guy's party, and something weird was going on, and it turned out that his daughter was a hag, because the way that it happens is like so if you have a hag baby, like it's normal, and then it gets to like puberty and it changes and it has to like eat somebody. It's bananas. So they form covens sometimes. They're bad news, but they're cool.
In the monster manual, they've got green hags, night hags, and sea hags.
Yeah. A lot of times they do form covens. Sometimes they're sisters. A lot of times, just because you're in a coven doesn't mean you like each other. They don't always get along. Yeah. Obviously, everything Erin said is right, because everything Erin says is always right. But I'm a lot
of pressure.
But you do it so effortlessly. Now I'm plus oneing that they are a stand-in for the traditional witch in a way that is a lot less offensive. their, you know, bubbling cauldrons and double toil and trouble and Eye of Newt and all of that stuff without like offending like real people's, you know, religious preferences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're definitely more of the exaggerated storybook version of what the evil old witches, which I do enjoy, and I do love just like throwing them in there. Like I threw a coven of hags in Cholt, like just randomly for my players, and that was awesome. Also, the ones in Barovia, chef's kiss, so good.
Yep.
That's right. I forgot. Night hags will like get up in your nightmares and slowly turn you into a soul larva.
Yep. As
you
one
do.
does.
And then they trade you to the yes.
Yep. So hags are generally
Hags are cool.
unpleasant. They delight
they're
in
bad, but
tormenting
they're cool.
mortals. Yeah.
There's a warlock pact with hags now, isn't there?
Oh yeah,
there is. You can have a hag patron. Yep.
You can be a hexblood person as well. You can
be descended from hags. Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's the only one of those I haven't either played or played with someone who did yet, because everybody went reborn in Dampier, but I haven't seen many hexbloods. Then there's the sprites. Now, sprites are like little tiny fae. However, the one cool thing about sprites in 5th edition is they are one of the very few ways, I was about to say only way, but I think there's one other, to actually know something's alignment. You to literally know like that person is chaotic neutral, or that person is neutral evil, or that person is lawful good. Sprites can do that.
Really?
Yeah, they can tell by the sound and feel of a beating heart. They touch you and have to roll, but they're one of the only ways you actually can know that. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
And then they can put you to sleep too. That's a lot of their. I've done a lot of stuff with sprites because again, it's one of those things that they have to be overwhelming in the sense that it's like if you're fighting like one dude that's this big with a bow and arrow, it's not too bad. You're fighting 40 dudes that are this big with bows and arrows. You're like, oh wait a second. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I do have to point out Cypher, the chat again just went, damn fear, you say.
I was hoping she's still here. I was all like, people of culture and distinction like to play dumb here. You know?
I see you know, damn fear of culture as well.
Exactly, of culture and distinction. Yeah. Yeah, and then there's the satyrs, you know, the traditional half goat, half human, hedonistic party animals, no pun intended. I think they first made satyrs playable in Theros, didn't they?
Yes. I don't
know. Maybe.
Yeah. No, they did.
Definitely a big fae thing, though. You know, the satyrs just like to have a good time. And then there's all sorts of goblinoids, ogres, giants, and blights could be found in the more sinister region of the plains. You know, again, there's sort of this like spectrum of dreams to nightmares. You know how in dreams all kinds of weird things can happen, but then in nightmares all kinds of weird, unpleasant things can happen. That's kind of the vibe, you know, dreams and feelings. And then there were dryads, which are the female fae spirits that are tied to the trees in the woods.
I would like to just give a brief shout out to the 4th edition dryad art because I love this so much. Because a lot of the time dryads are beautiful, delicate ladies with leafy attributes. And in 4th edition, they said, nah, this is a tree lady that came to life and she's going to smash your face in. You know, and I love her. I love her so much.
I almost threw up in my mouth. I threw up in my mouth a little bit when you said shout out to 4th edition, but you're objectively correct.
This is how all dryads look now in my heart. The first time I saw that, I was like, yes.
She is like War Groot.
Yeah, no, 100% War Groot. Yeah.
And I believe like the way it was depicted, because I know there was at least one novel that I edited that had a dryad character, and they have a more sort of humanoid form, and this is sort of like their true super fae form. So if you know, if in this case there was a druid guy and they had a ritual and a dryad came and he was supposed to hook up with the dryad, And that was one thing we clarified was, is this actually going to work or is it all splinters now?
I was about to say, that seems like a lot of splinters. That just seems just like a lot of splinters.
You just got to make sure she's happy and she doesn't need to go super warfay.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. We'll bring you an offering.
So it's about time for us to check in with chat. Any last Feywild things you want to hit real quick? Should we see what they're up to?
We didn't talk much about the sort of, it is a little deep lore, but the gosh, I can't say it. Sildur was a region that was coterminous with the Yearwood, and so this is sort of like the extra Fey elves like had this little demi-plane. There's a lot of sort of battle between the prime material and this gets pulled into the Feywild. So if you are playing in the Forgotten Realms and you want that sort of step that is one place you can go. The other one that has a real close connection to the Feywild, I believe, is Everesca, which is a kind of an elf-heavy kingdom. That's like their summer home. They just go that way.
We're just up at the cabin.
Yeah, and
Evermeet. You gotta forget Evermeet. It's like the
Yeah.
island of the elves.
which I remember we talked about at the time, that it's like the Feywild and the Shadowfell were created at the same time as reflections of each other, but then they were like, but what if we made a Fey Dark? You know, which kind of makes sense, that it's like if the Feywild is this celebration of life, the Shadowfell is a celebration of not life, not necessarily death. That's a different place, but it's, not life.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're like, but over here in life, we still have, day and night and happy and sad and dreams and nightmares. So we still had to have an up and a down. Where wait, didn't we establish?
I want the Shadowfell to have a Feywild. It's called the Shadowwild.
The Shadowwild.
So bad.
I
don't know what it is. It might actually turn out that the Fey Dark and the Shadowwild are their own little like mini plane between the two. But
Yep.
I still enjoy that a lot.
It's been 50 years of lore. That's probably happened somewhere along the way.
It feels, let's be clear, it feels really kind of unnecessary, but also
Very
it would make me
necessary.
laugh.
Yeah. The tube connection in the Taurus there. It gets like real skinny down at the bottom, and it's just full of freaking hipsters. You know what I mean? that all believe they're the most underground. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine how insufferable the goth kids from the underground of the Shadowfell are? You know? Yeah.
They smoke ultra cloves. All right, let's
so much mascara.
let's check in with chat and see what they've been up to. Ryan Hayden got in here first and said, new campaign, and obviously it will need a pixie writing things, right? Right? Any hint what mount it will be? No, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. They don't. They got wings. They can fly.
I will say this: multiple.
Oh. Yeah, Aaron coming in with the tease. Stay tuned, find out. You'll see. Cassius335 says, "Wait, are you telling me the Fae have their own Underdark and it's not called the Fairy Dark?"
They took a vote. Fey Dark one.
Fey Dark.
Yeah.
Fey Dark.
Fey Dark does sound more metal. Yeah.
It is. Let's
More
see.
metals.
Mythical. Rex Verdi? Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Question: what role do hags play in the Feywild? How do they get along with the courts?
Well, again, can't get shot by NDA bullets, but I will say they feature heavily in the Wild Beyond the Witchlight.
I think hags can be either. It depends on the court, right? There are smaller domains that hags might rule. There are going to be hags placed in courts rather highly. There also are probably hags who are just avoiding anybody's attention. What do you want them to do?
Mm-hmm.
It's a creature with a lot of possibilities.
Yeah. I might be running Wild Beyond the Witchlight soon, and I'm very excited to mess with the hag part of it because that's just fun. It's just cool. Let's see. Oh, you got something there, B-Dave? Okay. Hazen says, can spending a lot of time in the Feywild, could that alter your character's features or any part of you or anything like that?
Ooh, I like that. I don't know for sure if that's something that's already been established.
It's 100% something you can do at your table.
Yeah. The most things, just checking back, is that time doesn't work the same, distances don't work the same, and arcane magic is works much more freely and more intently. So things might be more vivid or amplified.
I like the idea that like it doesn't change your appearance or anything like that, but it coming back from the Feywild is kind of like astronauts coming back from the space station. Like they just hold a cup up in the air and then it falls and they're like, "What the hell?"
And in talking about, sorry, go ahead, Bea.
I was just gonna say in our story in Black Dice Society, which I don't know if what this person is alluding to, it could be purely coincidental. When Nahara went into the Feywild, she looks different, but there's a reason why she looks different. So. It's but there nowhere is it like expressly written that is a thing. No.
Okay.
But it's a plane of dreams, so why not?
And given the idea that when we were talking before about how it reacts to your emotions and how the Archfey is sort of like it's primarily swirling around them. It's their rules. It's their thoughts triggering things. It seems very narratively cool that it goes both ways. That the plane affects the Archfey affects the plane. So the longer you're in the plane, you're affecting the plane's affecting you. So it may change the way you react to things and think about things. And can you imagine coming back to a place, you've been somewhere for so long that, your environment is reacting directly to your feelings, and then you come back here and the clouds are like, whatever.
Yeah. You're like, I know, you're like, time to take some levels in Druid.
Real Bunny Beast has a really cool idea. This is going with the time thing of like it not flown the same way and everything. Is the Feywild like the quantum realm? Can we do a time heist via the Feywild? I 100% think that could work if you make some deals.
Yeah, I mean, let me put it to you like this: if there's anywhere that you can do that, it's the Feywild.
Yeah. Yes.
Sort of up to your DM, but if there's a place where that's a possibility, that is that place.
God, that's cool. I'm into that.
I really do like that one. Let's see. We got to get out of here pretty soon because we got a show right afterwards. Let's see what we got. Oh, this is a good one. The name is Toby. Oh, well, your name is Toby. Is there a map of the Feywild / Shadowfell in the same way that there is a Faerun?
No, because like we said, the distance is just kind of a suggestion, and it is like the bubbles, the dirty bubbles, the bubbles. So you have these domains that are connected, but not, but yes, but not.
Yeah.
I will say there is a really lovely map in The Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and that's probably more the kind of thing you'll find is maps of various domains.
Yeah, the local area. Yeah.
The local area as it exists right now.
Yes.
Right.
Until the Archfey might get hangry and we'll develop this whole like taco stand world over here.
I mean, the plane of tacos is the next place I need to go because it didn't work out with the plane of ice cream and milkshakes. So maybe the plane of ice cream.
I do love the idea of like a Fey Lord that just like really gets into certain types of food every century. It's like you come back and it's just full of chimichangas and it's just like, yo, have you freaking had these things? They are so good. I built houses out of them now. They're so good.
Then you hand him a bowl of bibimbap and everything changes.
That is far more practical than a house made out of candy. Well, actually, I say a house made out of candy. I'd make it a while. It'd take me some time to eat a gingerbread house. A chimichanga house is not gonna make it to the summer. Yeah, I'm gonna look like a homeless hut laying in the middle of this clearing, and my house is going to be gone.
Well, I think that is a perfect place for us to wrap up this episode with the Chimichanga House. Friends, where can people find you and what awesome things are you working on?
You can find me on Twitter at Erin M. Evans. You can listen to me talk with these two guys about writing on our podcast, Writing About Dragons and Shit. Available where all fine podcasts are downloadable. You can also catch me later today at 6:30 p.m. on Pacific on twitch.tv/Dungeon Scrawlers, where I play D&D with a bunch of other fantasy writers.
Yeah.
We caught Cecilia's evil father, and we'll see if he's going to give us what we want. But also, if you come, you can get an Electrum chest code. I always forget to mention that.
That is true, yeah.
I mean, that is important. That like this
is relevant.
the milkshake.
Come for our delightful personalities and entertaining story, but also we have a bribe for you.
That is the milkshake that brings all the boys to the yard. I'm just saying. Yep. B. Walters, I am the stunt Erin M. Evans. I just do whatever I can to be close to her. And this we're actually Black Dice Society is dark this week. It's a D&D celebration. However, I'm on a panel at 8 a.m. Sunday morning. I know that's rough. Catch the VOD. It's really great. And at 1 o'clock Pacific was our one shot, The Dungeon and the Dragon, which is a really great game. Like if you have a chance to watch it, this is something really special. It's Deborah Ann Wall, Todd Stashwick, Patrick Rothfuss, Matthew Lillard, and Alicia Marie, and they are playing monsters on a revenge heist mission.
Oh, yes.
I'm excited to watch that one.
Was a lot of fun. So check that one out.
I'm putting time aside to watch that. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, no, it was a joy. Yeah, and then in we got the finale of the DM challenge. I'm all over that thing, but it's definitely 1 o'clock Sunday. Check that out.
Put it in your schedules.
Mm-hmm.
You can find me on the Difficulty Class podcast every Friday, which right now, like I said earlier, there's the second part of a one shot is going up this Friday. You can listen to the first part right now.
That was so much fun.
Yeah, it's a one shot that I ran for Erin M. Evans here, my friend Kyle St. James, and then Jasper William Cartwright and Jeremy Cobb from Three Black Halflings. And it was, I don't think I have laughed so hard during a game ever. So go check that out. The Difficulty Class podcast. Yeah, it's
the second half gets real weird.
I can't wait for people to hear that. You can also find me on Twitter at the Treavor. There is an A hiding in there. Thank you so much to Mars and Sasha for modding in the chat today. I'm meaning to say that when I start the questions, that the questions are being pulled by the mods, and they do a fantastic job at doing that. So give it up for the mods. They're going to be working hard today and tomorrow, and really every day. They do a fantastic job. And yeah, thank you, Codename Entertainment, for giving us a chance to talk about some D&D. If you missed any part of this show, you can catch it later. I'm not specifically saying 2 p.m. because I'm kind of busy today, but it will go up later as a podcast to your favorite podcast services. Yeah, today we've got so much going on. Bardic Inspiration special episode directly after this. Stay where you are. Keep watching that. And then we've got Mars's Guiding Hands, Sketching Hour, and then we got a whole other day tomorrow of content. Plus, the Feywild content is dropping today, and the anniversary celebration is also happening today. So you have plenty of stuff to keep you entertained, at least through the next 2 days, let alone the next couple weeks. So that is going to do it for this week's episode. So until next week, champions out.